Hello and welcome to this episode of our Sense in Nonsense series. Sense in Nonsense seeks to showcase people's seemingly nonsense experience, that when they look back, they can see the sense in it or they can make sense of it. It's just like Steve Jobs described when he says connecting the dots. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. Today, I'd like to welcome a special guest onto this episode, Mr. Alex Ibehre.
Thank
Alex,
you.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Jacob. It's a pleasure to be on a guest on your podcast, Sense from Nonsense.
Sense in Nonsense.
Sense in Nonsense.
Yes.
It's really a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
So, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So, my full name is Alex Ibehre. I am someone who considers himself a philosopher. I like to look at little things, break them down, see patterns, and make a lot of sense out of seemingly small things. So I think that has always led me to looking at life in very interesting ways. Okay. Currently, I work in internal communications. That's what I do. I've had experience in marketing and communications, sales enablement, human resources, and then before that, business development. So even what I'll talk about today is a part of that journey and how, I couldn't see those dots joined only when I looked backwards.
I see.
Yes. So on my profile on Instagram, for instance, I would say I'm a lover of all things beautiful. I consider myself a positive person. I love motivational speaking. I love reading. I love books. I love knowledge and knowledge sharing because I think it is knowledge that helps us create a better world. You get exposed to something little, and that exposure, unleashes a whole set of new things. And that's why you see the world continues getting better. So I consider myself somebody who loves knowledge and loves sharing knowledge, in a nutshell.
Thank you for that. That's so multifaceted. I don't even know where to believe. This is a man that wears many hats. And if you were to add to it, you say you're a husband, a father,
yes.
Obviously all those attributes as well.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, the accolades. And you mentioned that you transitioned from one career to the other. And that must have been a very interesting, if not challenging journey.
Very, very interesting. So, when you've talked about, sense in nonsense, if I'm to talk about a particular thing that actually shows this, when I started my career in human resources, I never planned to. It happened.
Okay.
It happened. And it's only looking back that I can join the dots. So I'll tell you the story.
Please.
So I was working, before I entered university, I worked for an IT firm. Okay. Back then they were called computer companies.
Okay, yes.
The word IT wasn't a thing.
An evolution, yes, indeed.
So I started back in when did I start working in that company? About as far back as 91.
Okay.
So this was a computer company in Port Harcourt. This was when there was still DOS, MS-DOS.
Oh, yes. So
there was no graphic user interface had just come in.
Yes, some of our listeners are not old enough to...
Exactly. So that was it. So I witnessed the evolution from DOS to Windows, Windows 3.0 to Windows 95. And then so on. So I worked in this computer company, later went to university, read theatre arts. And when I finished school and I was going to start working, I worked in a bank. Now the only reason I worked in a bank was because it was prestigious. It was the thing. If you made a 2-1, it was, it was prestigious to work in a bank. So I did. But after a year or two, it wasn't me. It wasn't giving expression to the person I was. So I decided to quit, and then I moved into a computer firm.
Okay.
Now, in that firm, I was leading the firm's business development efforts. Because as a banker, naturally in commercial banking, you're selling. So what I was selling was human resources software.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Now the interesting thing was, we had a consultant that said, you guys have made this software. You think it's really good. But you really don't have input from HR people.
See.
So for you to actually know that this software is meeting the needs of HR, you need HR people to give you their input. What are their pain points? What is the journey of human resources from employment to exit? So long story short, I had to begin to engage HR people, had to begin to learn about HR. And in that process, I was pitching to a company that eventually poached me. And then the person thought I was the owner of the company, he said, after, because of how well I had presented and packaged.
Indeed.
So fast forward from that, I now got roles within human resources. But it was never because I set
It wasn't a clear plan.
It wasn't a clear plan.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it was almost accidental.
Almost accidental. From learning about HR, I knew enough about HR to sell the software. That finally got me into this consulting role that I was headhunted for. And then I did a lot of training, a lot of HR kind of support, when it comes to the training and facilitating part of things. That combined led me into getting a learning and development role, and eventually organizational development role in a multinational. So it journeyed me into human resources, which later became my career. It was never a clear path.
Interesting.
But looking back, the experience of being in an IT company, understanding systems, understanding HR, led me into that. So today, when I look back, I had those combination of skills, which I didn't plan to have, but because sometimes you follow a path. They say you don't choose your destiny, your destiny chooses you. There's that thing. So sometimes when you're even trying to run away from your destiny, you're actually running towards it. Exactly. So today I have experience in human resources, and the IT, which I said was something I had even before I went to school, combined to even help me do that job where I was selling HR services.
So at the time when you went to university,
yes,
you didn't study HR.
I didn't study HR. In fact, what I wanted to study was law.
Wow.
That's a different story altogether.
Interesting. Okay. So you went into university and you came out after studying what?
Theatre arts.
Oh, okay. So you studied so that gives you a broad area to venture into.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you studied theatre arts, but then you ended up in HR. I'm just highlighting this because for somebody out there who might be studying something and thinking, oh, this that I study is going to be my career, that's going to be the rest of my life. And even if you choose or don't choose that to study in the first place, that is actually possible that you take a course of study and you can veer into a different career path because life has a plan for you.
Absolutely. Going to that, and thank you for bringing that up. I think the fact that I studied theatre arts, right? Let me put it this way. When I had an opportunity to now change from theatre arts to law, I decided not to. Because I felt that theatre arts gave expression to who I was.
Interesting.
So it wasn't that theatre arts made me who I am. It was because of who I am that I found myself comfortable in theatre arts. Now, on the other side,
amazing.
Theatre arts gave me full expression. One of the things I am cheered for today, or all through my life, that I can say has been one thing I have done excellently well, is engaging in communication. And theatre arts helped embody that. Because when you're on stage, you're performing, right? A lot of this performance is you expressing yourself. So today, when I find myself presenting or going for an interview, I usually tell people it's a performance.
Yes.
It is a performance. So you've got to understand your audience just the way you do when you're on stage. You've got to not pretend. I remember our lecturers then would tell you, you can't pretend your way. You've got to feel it. So I remember, and this may be veering off a little, but let me just say it. I remember coaching someone who was preparing for a higher level role. And I said to her, when they say in communication, a large part of communication is not verbal.
Yeah.
It is non-verbal.
Non-verbal communication, absolutely.
But when we prepare for interviews, how come we are so concerned
of course,
with the verbal?
What we say, the audible.
The presentation, the packaging, how you come across, that weighs more. Yet, nobody seems to talk about that. So I remember telling her about that. One of the things I said is, if this was your father's business and he's just called you to say, my daughter, an MBA, we've trained you, I want you to come and take over. You're going to step into those shoes, right? Whether or not you feel ready, whether or not you feel like you're an imposter. That mindset that I'm going to do this, I've got this, because my father has given this to me. It's the same mindset you have. So you're going into that interview and you're going to put on a performance that is going to convince them. Because the mindset of the interviewer is, I just want to see among the people I'm going to say, who is the most ready? Who can I see in that role? Right? Make it easy for them to choose you. That's what I said. So back to our story.
Yes.
So I went to university. I did theatre arts. I never saw that as
a career path
or a liability.
Okay.
Because truth be told, I remember my mother saying then that, this one you've done theatre arts, what are you going to do with it when you leave? I remember my elder brother, when I got my first set of jobs, he was like, with theatre arts? How?
Indeed.
How does somebody do this with theatre arts? Indeed. I remember doing service here, I was meeting a few people to say, I want an opportunity in a bank. I needed them to just vouch for me or give me a note. And then one of them said, he admires my confidence. That he's never seen someone who read theatre arts be so anxious to pursue a career in banking, and you really want to do this. And when I got the job, I went back to him and he just said, I give you kudos. So I've never really felt that what you read is what holds you back or what determines your life. No, it is only a tool in your toolbox. Your whole toolbox, your whole set of skills is what presents your career.
Interesting. But you see, that also presupposes that you have a set of tools in your toolbox.
That's right.
Because many people are walking around and don't have tools in their toolbox. It reminds me of Abraham Maslow's quote that says, if the only tool that you have in your toolbox is a hammer, you will see every problem as a nail.
That's right.
And most people are walking around with just one tool and basically seeing every problem as a nail.
That's right.
So that brings into play the fact, and from what you're saying, is that things that you have done have enabled you to acquire tools along the way, such that when you see a problem or when challenge comes, you're able to bring out different tools to apply to that challenge or that problem.
And sometimes combining the tools. So it's very interesting that you should say that or recognize that. I think I was willing to always try new things. So when you do try new things, I don't think you end up losing. You develop a new skill, and it's helped me along the line. So today, if I find myself wanting to work within marketing communications, I have experience in that side. If I want to work within HR,
Indeed.
If I want to work within training or facilitation or coaching, if I want to do within internal communications. So because I've tried a number of things, right, it has given me, like you said, a set of skills that sometimes you can combine. And quite honestly, sometimes I found myself in roles whereby, because of my previous IT experience, I remember colleagues saying to me, but how come you understand this? How come you're able to break it down? I've been in meetings where I'm able to join the dots and say things, and they're like, okay, but you're a marketing person. How come you understand that? So sometimes the past experiences is what, helps pull these things together, and then you're able to chart a course ahead that you may not have seen on your own.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds very much, what it sounds like to me is the multifaceted tools that you've acquired, that you've gained, that you're able to utilize, actually positions you, to a C-level position, or even like a CEO, and maybe you're ready for entrepreneurship as well, because what it means is that you're able to move from one area to the other, or you have an understanding of different aspects of the business.
That's right.
And that's a value add in itself.
Absolutely. I think, recognizing that you have these tools, and when you're approaching a problem, like you said, you have a set of tools and skills for which you can see how you will approach it. And whether it's entrepreneurship tomorrow or getting to the C level, I think one has come to that understanding that you can't know it all.
No.
But what you have is enough. You need to be confident enough to understand what it is you have. You have to be self-aware as to what it is you have and then what you need to get. How you can combine what you know and what you can bring to the table and identify where you need to pull other things together to make things happen. There was a point in which I used to think for you to be the head man, you have to have all the skills, you have to be the smartest in the room and all that. But life is a journey and life is growth. I've come to that realization that you don't need to be smarter than everybody.
No, you don't.
In fact, I remember looking back and saying, as a leader, I remember saying this to a manager, that as a manager, you don't even have to be smarter than your direct reports. No. You were there at your level to see and make certain decisions, to help them channel their capabilities, their skills, and their energies towards achieving an objective. That's it. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to combine those things towards achieving an aim, achieving an objective.
Utilizing resources in order to
absolutely, whether they're from you or from within the people within your domain.
There seems to be a common thread, not just with you, but with some of my guests.
Okay.
And it's that word enough. The last guest that I interviewed, one of the things that she said was that she came to a point, and what she's come to realize and she puts out there is that she's enough. And what I'm hearing you say as well now is that you have enough.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of people have. They don't think they're enough, or they don't think that they have enough in order to carry on with the journey that they're on.
Yes.
And that's where some people give up. Say, oh, I don't. You see, and I think one of the most regular used phrases is, I don't. I don't have this. I can't do this. I don't know how to. I don't. And if you keep on with I don't, you won't. It's as simple as that.
Very true.
And that's so. Now, what would you say has enabled you to become who you are? To have acquired, developed this diverse set of skills, multifaceted in the way that you are. What would you say has enabled you?
I will come to that, but I want to touch on something you said about talking about being enough and people seeing themselves as not enough. I've realized that those who accomplish, those who do, they don't necessarily have more skills, more brilliance, more competence than those who don't. It's only that they have the courage.
Indeed.
They have the courage. I think if there's one thing that sets them apart, is courage. Now, that courage can manifest as confidence. It can manifest as a stubbornness. Where they say, even if you fail, you dust yourself up and get up. That's stubbornness to say, I'm not going to accept the fact that it didn't go well and that's going to be me. That desire, coming back to something you mentioned before, desire is very important. If you want it enough, then you're going to do it regardless. So when you look back through history, the people who did things, they didn't do it necessarily because they knew how to, but they had the courage, they had the confidence to start. Along the journey, they became better. They were not afraid to make a fool of themselves. They were not afraid to be vulnerable. They made a fool of themselves. They stumbled. Sometimes they didn't do well. But because that they had the confidence, that desire, that self-belief, they pushed through. And the truth is, even if they didn't believe in themselves, would we know? Because they say, if you have to do it scared, do it scared. So they did it anyway. And then what you find is, somebody achieves something great. And then someone says, well, is that not Alex? I'm smarter than Alex. I remember Alex in school. I remember this. If you can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
But you haven't.
Yes.
And why? You're the one holding yourself back.
Yes, absolutely.
That's it. So you don't need to be 100% before you achieve anything. You just have to have the belief that you can, and then you will. And then you continue doing it step by step, getting better. So I think many things in my past, going back to the real question, I held myself back because I felt I wasn't good enough.
Yes.
I wasn't confident in my abilities. I felt I had imposter syndrome many times. Who am I to lead these people? Who am I to say I am the person who knows this? Who am I to put myself out there? But what I've come to learn, and that's the beauty of growth, having a growth mindset gives you the understanding that the fact that this may not be your nature doesn't mean you cannot learn that attribute.
True.
You don't take a particular part of yourself and say, this is who I am, and therefore that's who I'm doomed to be. No. A growth mindset teaches you that, okay, if I know this doesn't serve me, then I can learn from it and then overcome it. Yeah. So I think now I've gotten to that point in life where I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm willing to act like a fool or be made a fool of in order to learn and get better and to continue doing. I'll give you an example. I'm horrible at dancing. I believe I have 2 left legs. I always tell people, from my waist upwards follows the rhythm, but from my waist down, it takes its own. It's being controlled by something else. So I remember we used to go for staff parties, and then somebody I know I dance better than we'll be having fun. He would dance, he would groove, he would dance. I said, I can dance, but he was confident enough. Those his 2 left legs, he would dance with them. So I'm at a point now where I'm happy to be vulnerable. I'm happy to make mistakes. I'm happy to learn from myself and learn and push myself forward. Because at the times when you're not willing to be vulnerable or you're ashamed of being made a fool of, you stop yourself from learning.
Absolutely. And I think that what that describes for me is fear. Fear is what holds a lot of people back.
It does.
And it's more the fear of failure. For some people, actually, it's the fear of success.
That's another thing.
But it's fear nevertheless.
Yes.
And one thing that I've learned about fear, they say, is that it's the difference between a coward and a hero. Is that a coward is a coward because of his fear. And a hero is a hero despite his fear. So the hero takes action despite his fear.
That's right.
And the coward doesn't take action because of his fear.
But the fear is there nonetheless.
But the fear is never
in both cases.
Absolutely. So fear will always be there.
That's right.
And I come to say that fear is a good thing. Otherwise, we'll be putting our hands in the fire. We'll be jumping off a tall building and we'll be driving, into headlong traffic. So fear is a good thing. It's how to harness the fear. And it's the perception that you have about the fear. Because again, another thing I take from you, which has been said previously, is about resilience. That, whatever it is that I'm in, whatever it is that I'm going through, I will get through this.
Oh, yes.
I will get over this.
Yes.
I may not know how, but I will keep going until I learn, until the path becomes clear, until the light at the end of the tunnel shows up, and I carry on going.
That's it. I'm happy you brought that up, because if you wait to see the path before you go ahead, you just may not move.
It is said that the farmer who waits for rain before he sows will never reap a harvest.
Absolutely.
And that's it. They say if you wait for conditions to be perfect, you will never achieve anything.
Absolutely. So you've got to start. You've got to believe. In fact, I've learned over time, because I read a lot. I listen to TED Talks, podcasts. It's my thing. I love motivational speaking. So I listen to a lot of those things. And the one common thread is that you've got to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
In fact, there's this common phrase that you hear today's generation use a lot. They say Delulu is the only Sululu. What that means is delusion is the solution. Sam Altman, I think that's his name, or Sam Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
That does ChatGPT. Yes. So CEO of OpenAI. He says a lot of the people who have been successful, what he notices is that they're delusional. They almost are delusional. That they believe so much in themselves to the point of delusion.
Yes.
I know that can be said of Steve Jobs, because he'd be so dogged about something.
Absolutely.
And it's like nobody else could see it, but he could.
He saw it.
So if that's what it takes, to really push forward, sometimes you're not going to get your friends to see your vision.
They won't. They can't.
The closest people to you will not see it. They will not believe in you. But you go on regardless. If you're to wait to see it, because God may not have shown them the vision. It's you He showed.
Interesting.
But you have to go regardless, because if you believe in that, that's when you can see it to the end and see what will make out of it.
Interesting. Two things I take out of there. Sorry. One, as you were speaking, then I remembered listening to Trent Shelton.
Okay.
Trent Shelton is a speaker now as well, and he says the vision was given to you, not to them.
That's right.
So they can't see it.
That's right.
And he uses the analogy that you can't take off your glasses, give it to somebody else, and tell them, look, see, the vision will be blurred.
That's right.
Because they don't have your prescription.
That's right. Nice.
So too often we give our glasses to other people, say, see what I see,
and they can't see it.
What are you talking
and
about?
And then we're sad.
Are you mad? Are you delusional? Yeah. That's it. And then it also takes me back to Henry Ford. When I remember that Henry Ford highlighted about belief. And Henry Ford said, if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. What do you believe? So as a result of your belief, that will, your belief can either kill your dreams or make your dreams.
Absolutely. And then what I say to that, Jacob, is if your belief can do either one, why not choose for your belief to make it come true? So even if you're going to stand with something and you're going to push with something, you're going to believe in something, you're going to do it, and at the end of the day it doesn't happen, you enjoyed the ride, you enjoyed the journey.
Absolutely.
I think much later when we're 80, God gives us the grace to live that long. You're lying in your bed looking at the ceiling. You're going to look at those struggles, you're going to look at those times when you pushed. You're not going to regret it.
No.
What you will regret is if you didn't try.
Absolutely.
So try, push it, see, and then most times you find that a way starts to form.
Indeed.
You would have gone through that fog, and like they say, there's one statement that says you don't need to see the whole staircase. No. You just need to see the next step.
The first step and the next
You're
step.
Driving through a foggy place, just need to see the first meter, and as you go, the path unfolds before you.
Absolutely.
And it's almost as if, I think it's Johnny Walker that says, the world stands by to watch the man who knows where he's going. Something to that effect.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So there's a confidence you have, there's a belief you have in yourself that almost looks as if, hey, the heavens now says, we've got somebody who knows where he's going. We've got somebody who is drawing on the power of God and the universe, right, to create a path. Oh yeah, universe, let's align to make this happen. It's as if the whole universe says, God, we've finally seen somebody who knows that they can create their life, they can create what they want to see. Oh yeah, universe, align. And then the universe readjusts itself to make that path come true. So a lot of people who have succeeded today, when they tell you how they started, there was actually no path. It's almost like when you go to, or people say they lived in Lagos back in the 70s, maybe even 80s, when they said all that Lekki area, there was nothing there before. That's it. It's one man's vision, right?
Absolutely.
That we could chart a course through here, we could change this place. So as long as you, in your mind's eye, that's why the Bible says we don't walk by sight, but by faith. So it's not what you see, it's what you believe. This sounds like aspire to perspire, mumbo jumbo. But to those who choose for it to be like that,
I picked one thing out, like you said, it's a choice. Choose to believe.
Yes.
First of all, I remember listening to Will Smith a long time ago.
Okay.
And he said, if you know what you want in life, life will get out of your way. First of all. So that I come to desire on that. And then he now said, if you know what you want in life and you're willing to go after it, regardless of, life will not only get out of your way, life will go and look for it and bring it and hand it to you. So that's what you said. It's like, everything begins to, this guy knows what he wants is, and everything realigns. To bring it and give it to you.
I am telling you.
I heard Will Smith say that a very long time ago, and listening to you saying it now, it just triggered that.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. As you're talking now, it just brought something back to my mind. You know how, because I have a history in computers, right? Just working, selling them, not that I'm a computer scientist or anything like that. So you understand the way systems work. The more I understand systems, the more I realize that they were patterned after human nature. So I'll tell you one thing. You know how on your Instagram page, let's use Instagram as an example. If you go to the For You section,
Right.
the types of videos you see there, the type of content you see there, is a function of the kind of content you engage with.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the algorithm has been designed.
That's how it's been
yes.
designed, right? So you click on this and more of that
comes
in.
Yeah.
You click on that, more of that
The
comes
law
in.
of attraction.
Law of attraction. So bring it back into nature. If you believe, if you choose to believe, if you choose to see the positive, if you choose to see possibility, if you choose to say, I'm not going to look at the negative in this, because negative exists.
It exists. There's
Positive.
There's no denying it.
There's no denying it.
That's one thing I think I
Yes.
need to highlight.
Yeah.
It's not denying that the negative exists.
It does.
It's choosing to believe in the positive.
That is right.
As opposed to focusing on the negative.
It's almost like, they say we have those two wolves in us, the evil wolf and the good wolf. The one you feed is the one that gets strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So remember, you feed it. So
Yes.
if you continue seeing the negative and you continue dwelling on the negative, you're feeding
more of
that,
that.
and then you get more of it. So it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely.
What you choose to see and engage with, right, determines what you see.
You
So what you
continue to
choose to see determines what you
receive.
shall see.
You receive.
Do you see?
You continue to receive it.
Exactly, it's a cycle. So why not choose to see the positive, and then more positive comes your
to
way? So when I look at
True
it like
that.
that, I say, why not choose to see the positive?
True that.
So a situation, and you see two people, someone would dwell on the negative, and because they're constantly dwelling on the negative, they see more of it.
Absolutely.
So if the algorithm of life is what you focus on, what you choose to believe is what you see, what harm is there in choosing the positive and believing in the positive?
Reminds me of the story of a set of twins, identical twins. One was an alcoholic and the other was a teetotaler, never touched alcohol. And they interviewed the alcoholic and said, "You're twins, how come you're an alcoholic?" And he turned around and said, "Yeah, I had the perfect example. My father, the father was an alcoholic. So he had the perfect example of life and he followed that path." And the other one, they interviewed him and said, "How come you're a teetotaler? You don't touch alcohol?" He said, "I have the perfect example. My father, I don't want to be like him."
That's right.
So both had the same example. One chose to be like him and one chose not to be like him with the same example.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving forward,
Perfect.
Alex, can you share with us in this journey of yours one truth that you would say that you've learned or that you would put out there?
That's an interesting question. One truth. I would say it's, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself when nobody else does. You have to believe in yourself and be comfortable with people not seeing your vision, not seeing what you want to see. I've done a lot of things in life that people started off saying, "Nah, you're not gonna make anything out of it, or it's not possible, or how do you think you're gonna do it? How can you transition from this to that?
Yes.
Or how can you move from this level to that level? Or how can you just make a switch? Or how can you change location and then, be on a solid footing and expect anything to be positive?" I have chosen to believe. I have chosen to see the positive and then pursue it. I don't follow the positive because I am certain it's going to materialize. No. I choose to do it regardless. I want to have it on record that I saw something and I pursued it. Whether it turns out is up to God.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Or you do your part.
But I would do my part. I'm going to have to throw this in because it's a part of scripture that I think really fools me. And I can't say anything about my truth without talking about this fundamental thing. When I hear the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I remember one saying to God that, "Wow, this creation of yours really did wonderful things to make you proud in that generation. And you hadn't manifested as much of your glory at that time as you have to us. I really wish that you will use me as a vessel to do even greater things that they did, because we in our generation have seen greater works than they did, yet they manifested your glory." Now, what trips me about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was that they were thrown into the furnace, right? And they were asked by King Nebuchadnezzar. And what they said is they are willing to go into the fire. And they know that their God is able. Very important distinction. Not that God will, or that he must. He is able to save them. But even if he is not, they are willing to go in. And that level of faith, I have, it's when I say that thing, Jacob, it gives me goosebumps. Because they knew that God is able. Not that he would, not that he must. They're not holding him to his word, like you hear some Christians say today.
Indeed.
That you must know.
Hold him to ransom, yes.
No, we're not holding him to ransom. We know that he is faith. He can. He is able. But even at that, even if he's not going to, we will stand by our belief in God and worship him.
Interesting.
Now, it makes me say that, this is how I choose to interpret what happened. That God was where he was. He saw this level of faith. And God is moved when he sees his children, exemplifying such faith. So, he came down himself. Because think about it. This was back Old Testament.
Yes.
Yet, Nebuchadnezzar himself said there's a fourth person in the fire. And his likeliness, his appearance is like unto the Son of Man. And this was before the advent of our Lord Jesus Christ. It was almost as if, God said, I must go and be with these my children. I must go and inhabit with them. I must be with them. I must show that I identify with them. So not only did he quench the fire from burning them, he went into the fire to be seen with them, to say, I identify with you. Right? So when we push to go and succeed, God doesn't owe us anything. So Jacob, one thing I must say, if there's one truth I understand in my journey with God, God doesn't owe us anything. If God doesn't do anything for us from now on, what he has done for us is already more than enough. We can never repay him. If God is our creator, is the one that has brought everything into being, then we owe him our life to worship him. So that fact that I don't hold God to ransom or don't say he owes me anything allows me to pursue things with that freeness of mind, not worrying, knowing that as long as I play my own part, he is faithful to do his own part, however that part is.
Interesting. It is said that, God's gift to us is our life, or our lives.
Yeah.
And how we choose to live it is our gift back to him. So that's again what I take from what you said.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And just to buttress the point again, in talking about this truth. Again, remember when the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus and said, I want one to sit on your left and sit on your right. Came to him. And he said, can they drink of the cup which I will drink? She said, yes, on their behalf. And he said, okay, I grant that they will drink of that cup. He said, can they be baptized of the baptism for which I have been baptized? She said, yes. He granted. Even though she met the conditions, what did he now say? He said, okay, they can drink of the cup and they can be baptized of the baptism. However, for those to sit on the left and the right, or those who sit on my left and right, it is based on what God has decided before the foundations of the earth were laid. So it shows that you can do all the right things. There is still that element of God's decision.
Oh, yes.
So I don't worry about that decision. Leave it to God. It's
so
faithful.
Yes.
Do your own part. Drink that cup, be baptized,
and
let God do his part.
Yes.
I think sometimes we worry too much about God's part.
Yes.
Do your own part. The Bible says Paul planted, Apollos watered, and God gave the increase.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So, tell me, or tell us, what would your future self thank you for?
That's a deep question, Jacob. If I'm to answer that question now, what comes to mind is my future self will thank myself for having a growth mindset, for always believing that you can evolve, that you can grow, you can learn, you can continue to evolve and change. I think my future self is going to say that you continue to evolve and develop and learn and become a better person. So you didn't stay stuck and have the mindset of this is who I am, this is who I am. No, you continue to evolve and mold and become better. if I'm to answer that question, I would say that would be what my future self would thank myself for.
Fantastic. The basis for that question is people always ask about what you would tell your previous self. But I learned somewhere that, I can't remember the name of the person, that when he plants into the future. And he looks and says, for instance, if I am to die today, or if I'm to die tomorrow, let's talk about the future, what would be written on my tombstone? Or what would I want to be written on my tombstone? So that's what I'm going to work towards now.
Nice.
So it's working from the future backwards. As opposed to looking at, whoa, what regrets did I have in the past? And what would I advise my previous self and all of that? That's where that came from.
Working with the end in mind.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So on that note, I'd like to thank you, Alex, for sharing with us your story of, I believe, I would say there's faith, there's belief, there's resilience, and the way that you've put it all and now ended it with the growth mindset. So, which is reminding me that, in all that we do, we shouldn't stand still. We shouldn't sit still. We have to develop a growth mindset, meaning that in life, everything grows. I mean, there's seasons, there's time and seasons. Even after the winter comes spring. The tree that looks dead is going to grow leaves again. And it's going to blossom, and then summer comes. And then we'll all say, oh, how beautiful it is. So in the darkest moments that you may be going through, you may be going through autumn and seeing only winter ahead, know that after winter, spring will come. So if you continue with that growth mindset, you will continue to develop and evolve into your greater self in that which God has created you to be. And choose to believe that all will be well, and that there is sense in the nonsense that you may be going through. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you, Alex,
Thank
for
you very
being
much
with us today.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for the opportunity.